Absolutely.
So anyway, really happy to be here. Logo soup, and I'm gonna skip the logos. Basically, I have been working in what's now cloud, but B2B SaaS businesses since 2000. And my interest in partnerships actually began in 2003 when I was still at Salesforce and owned the service, what's now known as the Service Cloud and the Marketing Cloud products. I was the original product manager for those products. And for anybody who's used Salesforce or is using Salesforce, you know that the core inside the product, marketing product, is limited, right? It is not a robust marketing solution. And so back in 2002, I needed to make it seem bigger, and I needed to be able to answer yes to the email marketing question. So, which we did not provide email marketing at that time. So I needed to go out and find companies who could help us fill that gap. And so anyway, that was my starting point with SaaS partnerships. And then in 2005, I got a different perspective on SaaS partnerships when I was part of the core team that built and launched the App Exchange in 2005. So that was a slam dunk drop into the more ecosystem-wide view and importance of partnerships. So here's everything we're going to go over today. I'll let everybody just take a look at it. As you're looking at that, I'll call it a few things that I am not covering. I'm not going to be covering legal contract terms for different types of agreements or basic terminology. Really, my goal is to help everybody with this content think really carefully and strategically about your partnership strategy. So at the highest level, that is the goal here. Once you have your partnership strategy, there's a lot. I also include some things around operationalizing it, but once you have the right strategy, there's a lot of other resources out there to help you operationalize it. I am particularly excited about this presentation today because last night I added 5 new pages down here. So there's 4 new pieces of content that I've given this presentation before, and this is new. The 4 tips for success with strategic partners, and I'll differentiate there when we get there. So 2 important prerequisites for coming up with the right partnership strategy. The first one is business model clarity. Now, SaaS is not one monolithic business model, and often people assume it is. For people who want to dive deep and get a lot of information about SaaS business models, the first session in this Enterprise SaaS Workshop series with Allraise was on this topic specifically, Enterprise SaaS business models, and you can go find it on their website if you scroll down to past events and look for the event on November 10th. So the reason this, understanding your business model in the context of partnerships is so important is that, say you're an enterprise SaaS or AI company who's selling a product for $100,000, even up to $1 million a year, you should not be partnering with a company that can't hang with you at that level, with that type of enterprise prospect. Somebody with a lot of expertise in the SMB, but no enterprise chops isn't somebody you're really going to bring into that sales cycle with you. Similarly, if you're selling, if you're a vertical SaaS company and you're building a product just for financial services or just for life sciences or just for real estate property managers, you're going to need to make sure that your partnerships support and strengthen your value prop for that industry. So across the board, understanding your business model and aligning with a partner with a similar business model is the best case, or at least a business model that isn't in conflict with you. So for instance, if you have a business freemium or a product-led growth-based SaaS product and business, and you expect everybody to be able to use the product yourself, and you partner with somebody who customers can't set up on their own and requires a sales cycle, in that case, that can still work. But if you go in the reverse order, say your customers do expect to have some help getting the product set up or getting off on the right foot, and you partner with a business freemium company who doesn't have customer support or in person and expects customers to do everything themselves, your customers will feel sort of out in the cold in that situation. So business model clarity and alignment is really, really important. The second prerequisite is having crystal clear company level business objectives, because partnerships can be a huge distraction and a huge shiny object that can just waste a lot of people's time. And especially if you're a startup, you don't have time and you can't afford to waste it. So I want to double click on that. So for instance, if you are working inside a SaaS company, you might just hear an idea of a board member might actually say, hey, have you guys thought about partnering with so-and-so? And all of a sudden it's a top-down, it sounds like a top-down thing. And you start doing a lot of work trying to make the partnership happen. And often these steps can get skipped. Another example is you're maybe the CEO and you're working on your own company and you're executing your strategy, you're building the product, you're marketing, you're selling it. But when it comes, and then all of a sudden you get an inbound request from somebody who wants to partner. Well, should you or shouldn't you? It can be a huge distraction that would require product resources, and you can't necessarily, you need a lens through which to make those decisions. Because just because somebody wants to partner with you doesn't mean there's actually enough there in it for you to bother doing so. So some of the real valid reasons and company strategies that can be supported and strengthened with the right partnerships, or if you're trying to launch, I'd say, a new product or expand into a new market, and this partner can help you either with credibility or customer access in that new industry or market. The most common one is, especially for an earlier stage startup, is growth. You want to accelerate your growth and maybe get access to a partner's customer base. The third is if you're having like customer satisfaction issues, or there's a gap in your product. Like I had a gap in the email marketing area. I needed a partner to help fill that gap to make the product we did provide really, useful. And so was being cooler things because they want those areas of their platform used. And that really serves them, and it can help give them some eye candy. If you give them a sexy enough piece of eye candy, they might then be more likely to include your example in their demos or their content. But fundamentally, that's not a good enough reason to do it. So you always use customer success as the North Star in deciding what is truly needed. And I'm guessing more than 50% of the time, a simple Zapier integration could solve the problems and meet the needs. And so anybody who's not familiar with Zapier should check it out. I have no vested interest in Zapier other than I'm a big fan of their solution because it really works. And it's the easiest way to be able to answer the question, yes, when a customer or prospect says, can you integrate with so-and-so? Yes, I have a Zap for that. So, and it's also a great way for all those non-strategic partners who come to you and want to partner. You should not invest your engineering time to do a custom integration with a non-strategic partner ever. Your engineers should stay focused on what's most important to your strategic roadmap. But what you could have your engineers do is define a couple of Zaps for what are the best practice ways that you want others to integrate with your product. And then for any non-strategic partner who says they're going to drive all this business for you and they're going to, be so amazing, you can say like, great, this is the best practice on how we recommend you integrate with us. We have a Zap for that. And we look forward to seeing what you're doing. So that is a solid option. When something is a strategic priority and it's worth having your engineers work on something, the less is more is really, really important. Bloat on anything is going to just risk delay or failure of the integration. And so really just only do what is core to your joint customer success. I thought I saw a question. Okay. And then so Zapier, by definition, you're thinking about repeatability. But even up here, even if it's one really strategic partner and you're doing a custom integration, still always be thinking about, well, this partner is not the only company like them. They might be the most important to me today, but there are probably 3 other companies in their same category with similar products. So just also be thinking and designing your integration in a way that can be repeatable. Can pieces from this be reused maybe 2 years from now when you do a similar integration with one of their competitors, which you wouldn't do all at once, but you absolutely have the right to do in the future.
Judy, we have 2 questions from Stacy. The first one is, who is the right target for employer benefit solutions if not HR? Is it better to integrate with a benefit plan administrator than go direct to employers? And how do you protect IP when working with strategic partners?
Okay. Protecting IP. I'm going to pass on that question. I don't know. Ultimately, when ultimately as a SaaS product, your product's out there. People can see it. If you think competitors aren't seeing your product, you're wrong. They will have gotten screenshots or something from somebody during a sales cycle, and just don't worry about it. It's really, yeah. So I'm going to pass on the protecting IP question because not my area of expertise, and I don't want to give you bad advice there. The first question around, can you repeat the question around employer?
Yes. Who is the right target for employer benefit solutions if not HR? Is it better to integrate with a benefit plan administrator than go direct to employers?
Okay. So I'll give some ideas. Employer benefit solutions, as an example, I'm assuming if you have a solution that's either a SaaS product or services or something around for employer benefits, you are probably selling it directly to employers and you're selling it to HR teams. So you should be trying to partner with existing leaders in the HR category. So existing leaders that come to mind in the HR category are ADP, Concur. I know there are quite a few recruiting solutions, but that's for that'd be targeting recruiters. That's not the same. So even within the HR tech category, there's a whole category of recruiting solutions. They're selling to the recruiters, not the benefits owners. So this is where thinking about your target audience is super, super important. I'm not sure if that question's in the chat. I can actually send that person afterwards a couple of other specific ideas related to the HR category, but really focus on who are the industry leaders in there that you could hook onto and get some of those tailwinds. Okay, so I'm going to go to the next one, which is talking about go-to-market with an existing or a potential strategic partner. So lately, let's just pretend it's a potential strategic partner. You're in the upfront, you haven't committed to doing any integration work. You're probably going to, but you want to first have some conversations around, okay, I'm going to do this work and after we do this, how are we both thinking about go-to-market? And I want to be really clear. Nobody else is ever going to sell your product. I don't believe in resellers. That's what's missing here. I should have a huge slide that says like no resellers in SaaS. So I'm going to talk about that for a minute. The reason I feel so strongly that resellers in SaaS can really suck is that you're a SaaS business. It's about the ongoing month after month, quarter after quarter, year after year relationship you have with your customers. And the expectations all start at the sales cycle. So having a reseller who isn't responsible for ongoing customer success is, I just think, setting everyone up for failure. And you could be paying out a commission in effect on a customer that isn't going to be able to, is less likely to stick with you. So my hypothesis is there's a much higher churn rate with SaaS customers that you get through resellers. And I would love it if somebody can point to me to a couple of super successful reseller examples in SaaS, but I'm very skeptical. So even when you build the project integration, it's still on you. You will be doing all of your own go-to-market. Assuming you're talking to a much larger company here, the other company is not going to, you can't assume they're going to market the shit out of your product to their install base. If that happens, that's going to happen way in the future after you've passed quite a few of their other required milestones. So, but it's still good to have a conversation about go-to-market up front. And this isn't meant to be manipulative, it's truly like authentic. Your conversation should always be anchored from a place of joint customer success. Because you have to like what's in it for them. They don't care what's in it for you. What's in it for them? And what's in it for them is your solution will make joint customers more successful than customers that are only using their product standalone. Your product extends the value of their platform or their product. Your product gives their customers a reason to upgrade to a higher edition to use your product, right? Like there has to be something in it for the mothership company to ever do anything. And so I think it's just really important. So you'll be talking about go-to-market and they'll be you'll feel the walls up. They will literally be, the walls are high, very, very high walls, and you won't get much. But they will appreciate hearing that with number 3, when you really talk about proactively training customer support on both sides to be familiar with the solution. It doesn't mean a huge company is going to train their customer support team on your product, but some of the smaller partners, they actually could and would, right? Like what's in it for them? If it really is joint customer success, they will be happy to know that you're thinking up front about wanting to make sure your customer support team is trained enough on their product to be able to talk authoritatively about the joint solution, and that you would like their reps to be trained similarly. So anchor everything in joint customer success, and that will be helping their walls come down a little bit, because that's some of the larger companies' biggest fear, is that if they let a smaller partner in, and if they're the ones that recommend you into their install base, and you totally screw up on customer success and don't help their customers if there's a problem, those customers are going to escalate to them. And the last thing they want, and it will be terrible for you, is if they start getting complaints about a partner. I know that firsthand. I managed some of our largest partners at Salesforce in 2006 and 2007. And I was very equal about it until I started getting complaints. And then one of the partners was on my shit list, and I could not, in good faith, recommend them to sales, to our customers, because of these customer support issues. So really think about customer support upfront as part of your go-to-market thinking. I think I saw a question.
Yes, from Rena. Is it better to let target clients be the trigger / create the impetus for an integration?
That is a great question, Rena. And yes, I mean, ultimately, a lot of great partnerships start because your customers are asking. Your customers are asking for this connection between your product and another product they use. So that gets to this, the previous, like what's the right integration? A lot of the time it's because your customers are asking for it. And so it becomes something, in a way it's a feature request that does have to become on your roadmap. And there's a lot of companies for which you can do that integration through Zapier or through your APIs to their APIs, and just do the integration and promote it on your website and let your customers know and let your sales teams know. And it becomes a part of like your feature set. Yes, we integrate with so-and-so this way. Yes, we integrate with that company this way. And so it helps shorten your sales cycle by overcoming those objections early. So doing that work is because a customer is asking for it or a prospect's asking for it is often the top reason to do something. But just doing that work isn't going to get you longer term. It's going to help shorten your sales cycle and help you win customers where that's a requirement, but it's not going to get you the other partnership leverage until you do some of these other things as well. Okay. If you are listing on a marketplace, the App Exchange, any of the others, if you've gone to the effort of assigning product and engineering to work on an integration, don't scrimp out on your directory listing. Invest in a really high quality slide screenshots or graphics or whatever real estate and asset space they give you on their listing. Use it. If they allow you to put up 10 screenshots, put up 10 screenshots. If you don't have 10 screenshots of your product, put up slides, put up images of your slides, use that real estate. and invest in a high quality job, because you've already done the way more expensive thing of building the product integration. And also don't expect your listing on their marketplace to do everything for you. You need to have a corresponding web page on your website that is a standalone page. I don't care where it's navigable from. It could be buried deep within your product section, could be available from the footer, but a page that talks about your joint solution and that integration in a standalone way, not just buried within the context of a fuller page, because you want to have a page that if anybody from that partner, a sales rep from that partner contacts you and says, hi, I have a customer that might need your solution. Where should I send them? Or what can I send them? You want to take this URL, send it to that rep, boom, that's exactly what you need. So this web page is to enable anyone to quickly understand the value proposition of the joint solution, and enable hopefully their sales reps to share it with their customers. And then finally, the reviews. If you're published on a marketplace and that provides reviews, which most do, those reviews really, really matter. None of us want to use a solution with like 0 reviews, 0 ratings, or with 2 stars. I mean, kiss of death. So if you're going to bother doing the product integration work, think in advance and line up who are our existing joint customers or who are going to be their initial customers, and draft some high quality quotes for them. Make it really, really easy for them. Get them lined up so that when your listing goes live, they're ready to go in and provide those reviews and get you quickly to that 5-star with as many reviews as possible. Okay, so let's say you've done all of that. You have the product integration, you're marketing it well on your side, you have your directory listing. Everything up until now has been focused on what products and marketing can do in the partnership process. This last section I want to talk about where the real money gets made, which is when the sales teams actually start helping each other. So ultimately, money is made in sales, and your joint solution either helps win deals or it doesn't. But when it does, you will eventually, and this takes a long time to get there, but it can eventually get to the point where maybe you build a relationship with a couple of their sales reps, and the goal is to be helpful to each other. I mean, it's all about helping each other. So one way that people often start helping each other is sharing their account spreadsheets. Now, this freaks out IT. IT hates hearing this, but it happens all the time. Sales reps share account lists with each other all the time in the goal of trying to see where they have overlap with each other. So if they can find overlap with each other, then it's like, ooh, I can help. Or this is my customer and it's your prospect. I could help recommend you in here. Oh, and that's your customer and my prospect. You could help introduce me in there. Or we're both going after the same prospect. Ooh, we go in stronger against our joint competitors together. So this is the early stage of co-selling. And co-selling can scare off some people and make it sound too formal, but I guarantee you the sharing of spreadsheets happens, and what they're trying to do is surface the overlapping accounts so that they can find which Sam, Samantha, Sally, or Jane sales rep owns the accounts that they're working on in my territory. So who at each partner is selling into the same accounts, and all companies have different sales territories, so it's not an easy thing. But ultimately, this is the best practice for partnering and where the real money gets made. But scanning through account lists in Excel sucks. And because it's such a manual process, people miss stuff. There's no way to really strategically analyze all of your accounts. And so compared to all of your partners' accounts. And so this is my one plug here because it's just helpful. PartnerTap is a company that is founded by 2 women. It's an enterprise SaaS company. And this is exactly what they do. So when all of you get to the point with partnerships where you have a partnership and there's a real joint value proposition, and there's a real chance to make more money together, you'll start sharing spreadsheets. And from there, you can just skip all the rest of the headaches and just upload those into Partner Tapping It. They'll handle all of this for you. So that's my pro tip for the day. So wrapping it up, last slide, to bring it all together. The critical factors for a successful SaaS partnership are clear strategy that's mapping to one of your top priorities, and making sure that any partnership effort is going to have the full support from product marketing and sales on your side. Having a great joint product proposition, customer alignment. Why bother doing the work if they don't really have the customers you want to go after, or the customers don't see your joint solution as a high value? And then go to market. Don't partner with somebody smaller unless you really, really need them. And then, marketplace is when that's relevant, but remember that there are other go-to-market motions as well, like co-selling. So that's everything. And hopefully we haven't gone over on time, but totally happy to answer questions.
I think you've been great on time, Judy. I don't see any questions from the audience right now. If you do have questions, please feel free to send them over in the chat. That would be really helpful. Or in the Q&A box. And yeah, I think all the questions that were asked have already been answered.
That sounds great. Well, I hope that everybody, is able to figure out the right ideal partner, and they really, it's hard and there's a lot to do and get it right, but they can really be the best way to accelerate growth. So I wasn't in any way trying to scare anybody off of SaaS partnerships. They're really, really strategically important.
Yes, no, and I think we're getting some great feedback from the audience. Just really thankful for your insights and frameworks. And we do have a question from Nicole. Does strategic partnerships apply to working with a consulting agency? If so, what do you recommend?
Yeah, so when it comes to working with a consulting agency or a systems integrator, something like that, while you won't have the product integration piece, everything else applies. So the customer alignment, most important of all. Do they already have a base of customers? Like, is it a new consulting firm who's just trying to build a business and figure out what sort of services to offer? Or do they already serve the types of customers that are a great fit for your product? And do they have expertise in that industry? And everything else around go-to-market is still true. You still want to have something on your website talking about that, your partnership offering, and you still want to have them do the same. And you still want to have them think about customer support. And it's slightly different with consulting, but it's about how are all of their consultants going to be trained? Because you don't want to outsource consulting unless they're going to do a good job. I mean, you have to scale at some point, but it has to be take that same customer success mindset. How are both sides going to focus on keeping the bar really high?
Nice. And then next question, once you've identified the right partner, how do you determine the right mix of co-marketing for that partner? Examples, blog, case study, webinar, etc.
So when it comes to the co-marketing, there's marketing and then there's co-marketing. So there's a whole bunch that you can just do on your side, and you should do. So if you've done the work and you have this as a strategic partner, it's because it's important to you. So just like you shouldn't scrimp on your directory listing, you shouldn't scrimp on your marketing. If you've done the work, have a clear home for it on your website, write a blog post about it, provide a best practices setup guide, create a webinar and invite, about it, record it so it lasts for a long time. So do all of that work, because effectively this is the same as if you were building and releasing a new piece of functionality. It's something you want to make sure all of your prospects and customers know about and can take advantage of. Co-marketing, I think of as a little bit differently because it's more about what hopefully will they do on their side. And so all your own marketing you should do regardless of if they ever do anything. But of course, the dream, especially with a large company, is that, oh, maybe once this is great and it's done and it's ready and we have a lot of 5-star reviews, that mothership partner company will send an email to their install base telling them about us. I mean, that is the dream and that is the goal. And depending on the size and the dynamics of the relationship, that can happen. But there's other size and dynamics factors where it will never happen. But even that never isn't true. If you get to become one of their top partners adding customer value, that could happen.
And the follow-up is there a best-in-class PRM you'd recommend for managing tech partnerships?
Depends. Short answer is no, because I haven't done an evaluation of PRM vendors lately. For those on the call who aren't familiar, PRM stands for Partner Relationship Management, and it is the category of software that typically lets you create a partner portal where your partners can go and log in to get your latest collateral, communicate with you, and ideally submit leads, which is called lead reg or deal registration, to you. That's typically what PRM does. So I apologize, I haven't done an evaluation of PRM because I work with a lot of startups and they're not at the stage of having so many, 20 partners where you need to do this at scale. It's more about the high touch handful of very strategic partners.
All right. Do you have any recommendations or experience when thinking about partnerships with Microsoft, AWS Marketplace?
I mean, I think everything in here applies to them with a couple of additional catches. So they're all the big mothership companies, right? That partnering with them, no matter who you are, you're going to be small compared to them. So it's about doing the high quality job and really nailing it in terms of like what's valuable for them. One additional catch that I've anecdotally heard about the Microsoft scenario, and I think this is true with many others as well, is that they want you to be built or promised to platform your cloud SaaS product on their cloud. And that is like a whiplash thing. So I've heard that a lot working with startups. It's like, well, we would partner more closely with you if you rebuilt or replatformed off of AWS onto us. And it's just, that is so great. In the future, everybody's gonna have a multi-cloud strategy and be able to fire off like, you're getting this version, you're getting the Azure version, you're getting this version, whatever. We're not there yet. And as an early stage startup, I wouldn't replatforming your entire product onto a different cloud player just for a partner. Like, there better be a shit ton of promises in there in writing.
And then Nicole, do we need to have a different pricing with a discount for an integrated solution, or should we even price it higher?
Of course, the answer is depends, but I'm going to give an answer of price it higher. Okay, because the integration is an additional feature. It's an additional capability. Now, you might end up including it in some editions and not others, or you might end up including it in the same price because it's so strategically important to you that you want customers to use it, because then they're more locked in. So there can be lots of reasons why you might offer it for the same price, but I don't see any reason to offer it cheaper, because if you're using a version of your product that integrates with a partner versus doesn't, it's more valuable if somebody needs it that it integrates.
Those were the last of the questions. Oh, Diane asked, would you be okay sharing your email, or like, what's the best way to get in touch with you if people want to follow up for questions or consulting?
Do me a favor, send me a message on LinkedIn, but put the details in there. Just say, from this session and the question, like put the details in there. I respond really well to specifics. So generalities, like I everyone's really busy, but specifics, I'll get back to you really fast.
Perfect. Oh, well, thank you so much, Judy. We have about 3 minutes, and I know you wanted to also close out with something you wanted to highlight.
Oh my God, thank you. How did I forget? Okay. Hello, everyone. Little segue into a plug. I just found out this morning, and I should have already known, that All Raise is hosting a screening of Makeshift Society. So first of all, just do it. Everybody go sign up. It's free. It's going to be awesome. Now I'll tell you what it is. So Makeshift Society is near and dear to my heart. My good friend Serena Schuler is the TV show creator, writer, director, producer. It's her baby. She has, it's the first ever TV comedy show about a female founder in Silicon Valley. There has never been a TV show about a female founder, tech founder, period, which is ridiculous. It's so hard not to swear. So ridiculous. And Makeshift Society, this is a chance to see the pilot episode. And this happens to be near and dear to my heart because I'm actually the executive producer of this show. And what that means for everyone on this call is I was chief elbow grease fundraiser to raise the money to go get this episode made. And it was awesome working with Serena, and I think it's going to be great fun. So I hope everybody can join.
Oh, yes. Well, thank you for sharing, Judy. Really appreciate you highlighting that. And thank you again for all the gems and sharing more about partnerships. I saw a lot of great feedback from the audience in the chat. So thank you for being vocal in that way and for everyone's questions. So invaluable to the community. Thank you again, Judy, for your time and also your knowledge in the space.
No problem at all. This is the group I want to share it with. So thank you guys.
Very, very cool. Well, thank you for everyone who joined us on the call today. We look forward to seeing you in future events, and we will have this video posting on our website no later than tomorrow afternoon. And with that, have a great holiday, have a great week, and we hope to see you all again soon. Thank you, Judy, again, and thank you everyone who came to join us.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.